Well, Soundhound stock in the last week really did come to an anticlimactic end. On Friday, we saw the stock falling by almost 6%, and now we are sat at the range of 15.59. The question on a lot of people's minds is where do we go from here, and what has been happening? Well, in this video, I'm going to be sharing everything on Soundhound stock at the minute. Please do bear in mind though, this video is based on personal thoughts and opinions. I am not a financial advisor, and this video is not financial advice. With that being said, if you do enjoy what you see here, make sure to give it a like and subscribe and a share if you can. It does help me out a lot, and also it allows me to know that you guys want to see more content on this particular stock. Anyway, with all of that being said, we might as well jump straight in, and we'll start off by looking really on the 5-day chart and really acknowledge what has happened in the past week or so. So really off to a volatile week, as you will probably know. The most notable thing that we're seeing is coming in from late Thursday into Friday's trading session, where of course we've seen this massive drop off, right? We've seen this really significant drop off, really hitting bottoms even lower than where we are right now. 1544 was the low roughly, before seeing a little bit of a rebound, not really that much, where we went to our previous support level, which is now a resistance seemingly, around $16, weren't able to bounce off of that, and essentially have been down since. Now, a few important things to note, right? We saw a massive drop off at open. From there, we did see a little bit of a comeback, but it really wasn't able to maintain that momentum. So going forwards into the next week, based on what we're seeing, I personally wouldn't be surprised if we were to see a little bit more of a drop. Now, key levels that I'm looking for here are going to be initially seeing if we can maintain where we are, because just about where we are right now has been a previous level of support a few times, maybe even a little bit lower, right? But somewhere around 1558, it's been a support many a time before. It could be a support now, right? We've seen it here, we've seen it here, we've seen it here, we've seen it here, right? Just draw that line, 1560, 1558 roughly. I'll draw it about there, right? And you can see all the way along, right? From here, all the way to here, to here. This has previously been a level of support. This could be a next level of support potentially. However, based on the downward momentum, a lot of people could see this one going a little bit lower based on things at the moment. Still though, I'd like to see a hold above that 1554 mark, although we need to bear in mind again, as we have said many times in the past, right, this monumental jump. And if you've been watching the channel since, well, the last time we looked at Soundhound, I said this back then, and the reality of it is still true. Despite the fact that things could rebound, despite the fact that things may rebound, we're still up very big, right? Go all the way back, and this is important. I'm going to go back to here actually, right? We'll say $10. We'll say $10 roughly. We could even go even lower, right? In fact, yeah, I think we'll go even lower than that. We'll just look around $8, for example. We could go even lower than that, but we'll just say 6, okay? We are up big. We are up absolutely massive. And yes, we all know that. That's not exactly groundbreaking news. However, it is noteworthy. And when you're getting into these stocks, in my opinion at least, and it is just my opinion, but that's the way I see it, when you're getting into these stocks where you're at these levels, where we're significantly up, where expectations are sky high, you do arguably and often get these situations where people buy at the top and things come down. So this is something that I did speak about before, monumental gains we are seeing already here, and there does become a point where things just aren't likely to continue forever. Now, I am not saying that we're at that point yet, but there are a few things to note. In my opinion, I'd be paying attention to a few things, right? Risk reward. So you could be looking at this level that we're at now as a potential bottom. And if you're very risk adverse, if you're happy with a lot of risk, potentially it could be a good entry point, right? If that's the way you want to play the game. At the same time, I would say a few other things. We're really struggling to break above 1547, 1647, 1660, $17 on the high end. We're just really struggling to get above those levels. We can't get above them, we can't maintain above them. We need to see a push above there for any next significant move to the upside. And even if we were to do that, right, what's the likelihood that we're going to get rejected if we do go up there? If we do go up there? Well, we've obviously got a bit of a climb to go, and it depends on how you want to position things, right? But you could make the argument that, from where we are now, especially considering where we've been, upside potential could be relatively limited. However, again, if you like those high risk plays, arguably you might disagree. Really though, to see any significant trend change in my opinion, we need to break above 1670, 1675 into the 1680 range and beyond. On the low end really, we're going to be lucky if this one can hold on to the 1560 mark. If it can hold on to 1550, 1540, great, but it's going to be very, very hard to say. And again, at this point I must also acknowledge, I give you the levels that I am looking at. It's not necessarily my job, well, it's not my job at all to make you guys' opinions up, right? That's for you to do. I just give you the levels that I am looking at so you guys can hopefully go on to make more educated research decisions. So yeah, that's one thing that I'd say, right? On the high end, we've got quite a while to go if we are able to even make it up there. On the low end, we are now seeing that, in my opinion, at least that downwards pressure beginning to come in, especially in the last couple of days. And Friday really was a massive one here. Of course, we could see this one shoot back up. It's going to be very volatile either way. However, considering everything that we've seen, and I must go back to acknowledge this major rise, right? We're up huge. We're up absolutely huge. And you've got to ask, do you want to buy a stock that's up, you know, multiple hundreds of percent? For some of you, the answer might be yes. You know, for some of you, the answer might be no. Would I buy a stock that's up multiple hundreds of percent already? Well, it depends on the stock, of course. But in this particular scenario, I personally would probably avoid. Now, that's not to say that you guys should, but for me, it just isn't one that sits right at the moment. Again, you guys can make your own thoughts and opinions based on that, but we're just up so large, we are seeing a little bit of downwards momentum, and yes, we might start to stabilize here. If I see a few days worth of stabilization, you know, 2, 3, 4, 5 days of relatively calm consolidation, that's a good thing. A slow uptrend, that's a good thing. But we are at a position now where we're beginning to break below, and we saw this in the last trading day, right? We broke below into a new low since what we've seen since coming up to this new high. We're coming into a new low. We were able to pull back slightly to the upside. At the same time, you know, you've got to pay attention to this, and you've got to ask, well, is this likely to continue to rise? Or could we see it drop even more? I'd just be paying a lot of attention here, and I'd be very cautious. However, that is just my personal opinion. Obviously, you guys are free to play it any way that you want, but that's the way that I see things at the moment based on what the charts are looking like, and especially based on the trends that we have seen in the last week or so. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give it a like and subscribe, and I do hope I'll see you again very soon. Goodbye. You guys are ready to get serious about trading for less than the price of a coffee every day, I've got to tell you about the new Patreon page that I have just launched. That's right guys, I have a new Patreon. I'm going to be sharing everything on here, from my personal stocks that I am watching to pre-market updates, as well as a Discord group which I have started. It's going to allow you to access similar-minded, like-minded people who are also interested in sharing their knowledge about the markets. I'm going to be sharing a lot of stuff over here guys. There's going to be a lot of exclusive content coming in the next couple of weeks, but do bear in mind, for most of the tiers, spots are limited. The Market Scout, where you'll gain access to the Discord, prices will change after 150 members. At the moment guys, I'm limited for time, so the Trader's Edge course and above, we're limiting the courses even lower, right? There's a limited amount of people who can join. At the same time, depending on the level of mentorship that you want, we have prices going all the way up from 1450 to the highest tiers over here that you can see. Again, if you're looking to take your journey to that next level, on these middle tiers, this is personally the one that I would recommend, even though it's not the most expensive. It costs less than a coffee every single day, and the amount of information that you'll get here, in my personal opinion, is absolutely worth the value. At the very least, guys, you can become a member for free. The link is down in the description, the comment section, and the bio. Just give it a look and see what you think. And of course, feel free to sign up if you're looking to take your journey even further. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of the video.